Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth connected.
And she want to know dog, posting on the corner like a watch. Family in the talk and they shot it. I just got a pop. Dog trucks, people. Shower to sense. Yeah, let's feel fucking niggas on the bench, yeah. All of my niggas, that shit ain't gon' stop till we on we all my niggas. We black, fuck you, we talking my niggas. That shit never change, it's the same with my niggas. On these streets, I'm scared shit. By that shit, play with me, don't let him have it. Hey, you shit, this shit, nigga, play out it. Get on them check, baby, like you be that way, baby, I don't think that's one. If you wanna get down, put your boots on, start stepping. It's amazing to see how it can be there from the struggle. Or to get it from my life was being trapped in the gut. My mind brain was thinking my own gut. From the kids, so it doesn't matter of time. You take my life, that's what I realized. Slave. Shit, why you ain't get accepted? We hear the truth, check it, but look, it ain't correct. It's correct, either the man is the foundation. Brotherhood is the way. Brotherhood is the way. Check it, because brotherhood is the way. Check it, because brotherhood is the way. Brotherhood is the way. Check it, because brotherhood is the way. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana, Prison Officer 5000, Kasar Pakad. This is the Thursday night scripture breakdown for ISBK Northern California. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat right now. I'll get to it. and answer any questions that you may have. Once again, Shalom, Yahweh Yahshua Barakatah. This is the ISUPK Northern California Scripture Breakdown. Thursdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Every Thursday. Come to 2213 McDonald Avenue, Richmond, California, for the ISUPK Thursday Scripture Down with myself, Officer 5000 Kasar Pakai. Once again, this is the Thursday night Scripture Breakdown for ISUPK Northern California at 2213 McDonald Avenue in Richmond, California. All right, pull up, come through, learn the Bible from the true priests and prophets of the Lord here in the ISUPK and the Commander General. All right. Let's go ahead and get to tonight's topic. We're going to talk about wisdom. We're going to talk about the knowledge of the Lord. We're going to talk about how the Most High God put wisdom here on earth, and he only put it here with the children of Israel, Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and how that comes to play with your life and interplay with your life and what you need to do and where you need to find wisdom at in order to become who you're supposed to be according to this Bible, according to the Most High, according to your forefathers that paved the way and put it down for you to live this life as an Israelite. And most importantly, our King that paved the way down, Yahushua Mashiach, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, the things that he put down to show us and guide us on how to live correctly. First precept we're going to go to is Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, verse 32. Right. Long day. Ecclesiasticus 6:32. And it reads, "My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught, and if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent." Like, this is like a father talking to his son. He's letting him know, if you want, you will be taught. If you have to want to learn. There's a saying from the Native Americans that I learned from Captain Kahan Thumya, where he said, basically it was an old Native American proverb that says something to the effect of, you cannot wake up a man that's pretending to be asleep. Once again, you cannot wake up a man that's pretending to be asleep. You cannot educate TD Jakes. You can't educate Creflo Dollar. You can't educate Jay-Z. You can't educate the Wu-Tang Clan. All these different people out here that, whoa, if they just had the knowledge and we was able to wake them up. Nah, they understand. They have the knowledge. They know what's going on, but they're pretending to be asleep. They're pretending not to be aware. And so you give them the reasonable doubt that maybe they just don't have the information necessary to understand what you understand or to understand this truth. Nah, they have this information and they're not going to use it to help their people. So they're pretending to be asleep and pretending to be ignorant. And so right here it's saying, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. You have to want to be taught in order to learn. See, that's the difference between certain type of questions that come up in our chats, certain type of questions that come up in class, certain types of questions that come up at camp, or that people use when they question Christ. Some questions are questions where people are genuinely asking because they want to learn. They want to see what you're saying. They want to understand what you mean. And other questions are questions that people ask because they're really trying to challenge you. They're really trying to divide the people that are listening to you. They're really trying to entrap you and get you to say something wrong that's going to compromise your life. That's what they were doing with Christ. So these type of questions are not made for someone that wants to learn. So it says, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. What does the word prudent mean right here? Thou shalt be prudent. They often use that old school word like, oh, you are a prude, when they try to tell a woman to do something extra. So the word prudent, acting with or showing care and thought for the future, wise. That's what it means right here. And if thou would apply thy mind, if you apply the things that you learn, this wisdom that you're getting from the people that are teaching you what's right, then you will be wise. That's what's going to happen to you. Verse 33. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. Now, does this mean just listen to everybody? Listen to understanding from anyone? Nah, that's not what it means. You can go to any liquor store in the hood and have a dope fiend give you a whole lot of information that it may sound wise to someone else, but if you listen to the things that they're telling you, you're going to be destroyed. That's exactly what's going to happen to you. You're going to be destroyed just like him. But verse 33, if thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. If you love to hear the Most High God, if you love to hear the word of the Lord, if you love to listen to the priests and prophets, that's what it's talking about. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. If you bow thine ear, if you make yourself humble, you don't lift yourself up, you don't puff yourself up, that's what's going to make you wise. What's the precept on that? It's like it's going off the top of my head. It's Luke 1. Is that what I'm looking for? 140 something. I think that's what I want. Where it says, Mark. Oh, yeah, Luke 7. John 1:47. I think that's what it is. That's Nathaniel. I might have to find it real quick, so I'm trying to go off memory. But I want Luke 12:1. Salah. God. Yeah, that's Luke. Yeah, that's Luke. I cannot see out there. Right. Lord. Right. The long Bible was always, it was more than just peace. They didn't have electricity back in the day. Somebody walking far away. Shalom, and give them a salute, you know who's coming. Shalom. So it's like I'm Tawab though. The water. All right, we rocking and rolling right now. I'll give y'all the update where left off. Shalom, Yabashim Shabbat Third Chuba Matam Yad, checking in from San Jose. What's on Christ? All right. What was that? So I was going to Luke chapter 12, verse 1. And I got there, left off from Luke chapter 12, verse 1.
Come. This is the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 1.
Mhm.
In the meantime, when there were gathered together an innumerable multitude of people,
Mhm.
insomuch that they trode one upon another, he began to say unto his disciples, first of all, beware ye of the leavens of the Pharisees,
Mhm.
which is hypocrisy.
Which is what?
Hypocrisy.
One more time from the red.
Beware ye
Mhm.
of the leaven of the Pharisees,
Right,
which is hypocrisy.
right. Beware ye of the leaven of the Pharisees. Like, what is leaven? What is leaven used for?
It's like the rise.
Right. To rise bread. The leavening agent. Also, people usually call like yeast, you know. And Christ is saying, beware ye of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. And so I was we're gonna go back to Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, and I think we can start we're gonna read through it real quick from 32 when we bring it back one more time. But basically, the leaven of the Pharisees, the thing that puffed them up and made them feel great and superior, was their hypocrisy. Their ability to talk about certain things, point certain things out, explain what is right and what's wrong. They believe their BS more than anyone else. Like that's the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. If you can lie to yourself, you can lie to anybody. It's over after that. If you can tell yourself you're honorable and you're great and you're doing this on the back end, and you believe the picture that you're painting to the world more than you do the truth of who you are, then you can do anything. That's what the Christian church has become. And that's what the Sadducees and Pharisees have done. That's what Christ was warning these brothers. He says, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. All right, let's go ahead.
That's like Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiasticus and Apocrypha.
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. No sweat. Chapter 6, verse 32. Uh-huh.
So 6:30.
6 and 32.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6, verse 32.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 32.
Mm-hmm.
My son,
Right.
if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent.
Right, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou shalt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. So what is he saying? It's like a wise man teaching his son. He's letting them know how to go about life and how to carry yourself. And if you're ready to be taught, you will learn. You have to be willing to learn in order to be taught. If you think you know it all, you can't learn anything. Right. If you come in and you're not coming to actually learn, you're coming to question and battle. I was saying online, there's two types of questions. Some people come to question to want to learn. Some people come to question to trip you up, to battle you. That's what the Sadducees and Pharisees were doing to Christ. And it was their hypocrisy that allowed them to do this and treat Christ like something was wrong with him. Go ahead.
That's like, sir, would that be similar to like how, so the Pharisees, right? Would that be similar to how if there's a brother online and how they come to battle Captain Cesario?
Right.
It's in that sense, that type of where it's like they're not battling to like show me truth or any truth for anyone to see.
Right.
They're just battling for the sake of, I don't like what this guy is saying.
Right. Exactly. One, yeah, they don't like what this guy is saying. They just don't like this person too. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what it is. So we get those questions all the time. I'm trying to think what's a classic question that people do with the Egyptologists. We have big arguments with the Kemet cats, but 9 times out of 10 it's not because they genuinely want to learn. So say they'll, you know how it is, like I said, and with how they did Christ all the time, they'll come and ask a question about a man divorcing his rib. And they say that Moses said you should be able to divorce your rib. Why are you teaching you shouldn't divorce your rib? And their whole spirit was not because they cared about the situation, it's because they wanted to have a reason to kill Christ. And they enjoyed the fact that they were able to throw their wives away. But they didn't want to hear the spirit of what Christ was trying to teach them and what the Lord wanted. But let's keep going to verse 3.
Verse 33. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise.
Right, like you have to bow your ear, you have to humble yourself and to get understanding and to learn. You can't come in a situation and think that you know and heard everything and then come to learn. You're going to have to humble yourself in order to learn. And that's what the UPK teaches, a way to be humble with the rank system, with you not being able to teach as a young man and as a trooper. All these things are put into place in order to humble someone, so it's your time to learn and your time to listen. And then you have a time to speak. Then you have a time to teach class. Then you have a time to go to camp and talk on the mic. You first had to learn first, but you can never learn unless you really bow thine ear. Now, does that mean bow your ear to any and everybody? La. Does that mean learn from any and everyone? La. Verse 34 explains who you should do that to.
Verse 34. Stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise.
Right. What does that mean?
That's Colossians 1. That means just to be around or to pretty much bow your ear to those who are older than you, or to those that are elders within the community.
La, that's the average, understanding that we would take from the Christian church, but now apply it to the truth.
So
stand in the one more time, verse 34.
So stand 34. Stand in the multitude of the elders,
right,
and cleave unto him that is wise.
Who are the elders?
So those are the elders. They will be those who lead the different camps or the different tribes.
And today.
Oh, today.
Yeah.
The elders. So would that be captains and generals?
I would say the men above you, basically. The men above you. Like in the world, when you hear elders, they say respect your elders. It just means somebody that's older than you. But in the truth and in the Bible, age is not the factor that puts someone over you. This is why when you come into the truth, what do we call people before they become a trooper?
Amen.
Right. We're not saying you're a young man in age. It's some young men in the school coming in that's 70 years old, 60 years old, 50 years old. They're not a young man in age, and it may be a younger man that's his elder, that's over him. But it's because he is an elder in the truth, not an elder in age. You understand? So that's why we say young man. It's not based on your age. Everyone's a young man coming in because you're in your youth of learning this knowledge. Yeah. So that's another thing that's important to understand. Verse 35.
Verse 35. Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee.
Right. Be willing to hear every godly discourse. A discourse is a conversation. Be willing to listen and understand godly conversations. Like, it's one thing to talk about basketball and football and who's this and that is going on, but being in the midst of a godly conversation, a conversation about the truth, about the Bible, that's what you really want to immerse yourself in. Go ahead.
So I've heard from other captains of truth where they'll say something to the lines of the Bible isn't something simple. The word isn't simple. It's something that the layman wouldn't be able to interpret for themselves, which they can't. But within this, Salakia, when it says be willing to hear every godly discourse and let not the parables of understanding escape these, is this speaking directly to priests or is it speaking to people directly?
This is speaking to someone. So, like, we got to look at this as a nation, right? The nation of Israelites. As a nation, the Lord says He's going to make us a nation of priests and kings. So, this is our whole nation of men, in essence, would be representation of like a priest. You know, but this particular instance where it's saying, what words you said? You said verse 35. You said, "Let not the parables of understanding escape thee."
The first part, be willing to hear every godly discourse.
Right. This is, it can be twofold, basically. Any average person in your nation, you want wisdom, you want to learn from the wise men who've always been the men of the Lord, the priests and prophets. Now, coming to the truth, our nation has gotten a lot smaller because we're rebirthing it with our culture. And so when you find it as like us learning in the truth, then that's as a priest listening from the men above. It's basically the same thing. I say that. Go ahead.
It's like it. And with those with the godly discourse, would that consist of, it wouldn't consist of the truth, but would it consist of just asking questions or questioning, or what is the godly discourse?
It says be willing to hear every godly discourse, like coming to class, basically. That's a godly discourse, a discussion about the Lord, breaking down precepts, going over the Bible. You might go to certain, like at Passover, or you might be at a barbecue. You're gonna hear two brothers over here, they breaking precepts down or explaining this. Usually when Captain Yatazak from Texas, if you get around him, it's going to be a circle of brothers and he's going to be breaking down precepts or explaining different things about how to build up your camp. Captain Kahan Thumb Yah is the same way, and that's where Captain Yatazak came up underneath Captain Kahan. A lot of ways, if you get to know Captain Yatazak, then you get to know Captain Kahan, you're like, man, them brothers are real similar. And you realize, this is who he came up underneath. And they're always giving you, as people in the world say, giving you jewels, giving you gems. It's a godly discourse. It's not vain conversation like people in the world do all the time. Yeah. So you want to be around that. You want to listen to that to grow as a man, to grow as a priest, to grow as a father, to grow as a brother, to grow as a sister as well. Go ahead.
So would it be okay, or would it be appropriate to say that godly discourse is not a negative thing?
No, why would you think it was negative? What made you think it was negative?
I would, so like the be willing, that makes me think of most people will be unwilling. Now you'd be naturally unwilling to hear it rather than be willing to hear godly discourse.
More so, like I said, you got to think about people in the world just living life. It's natural for everyone to talk about basketball. That's the normal thing. It's normal for everybody to talk about Cardi B. This morning, wake up, they say Christian Blue and Blueface is fighting this morning on live. That's the first thing my rib talking about.
Right.
But what's not quote unquote normal is to wake up and be like, well, you know what it said in Ecclesiastes? Like, most people don't do that. You should be willing to do that. If you want to go down the path of being a wise person, your first thought should be willing to see, whoa, I didn't finish classroom last night. Let me go see when I'm around these brothers. Let me ask this questions about this breakdown as opposed to having vain. That's another precept that talks about like saying just vain talk. It's really nothing. It's small talk. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you get to a point like outside of my slavery, it's hard to even be around people in the world at this point because it's really nothing to talk about with people in the world. Like, just meet somebody at the bar. Okay, just gonna talk about the Warriors real quick. But almost, if I go to a family reunion, I feel out of place almost. Like, I want to talk about, okay, the Ukraine and Russia and Israel and Palestine, how this is going to that. They just want to talk about Offset and Cardi B breaking down. You know what I mean? It's like, it's vain. This is a waste of my time almost. You know what I mean? My brain don't even function like that anymore. I'm almost uncomfortable and out of place. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm not willing to hear that. You know what I mean? I am willing to hear godly discourse. And if you're a young person, you want to be aware of that. And then you start, if you've been doing this your whole life, especially depending on where you at, then you have to be conscious of that and know, okay, how for me to get wisdom, when I'm in a room full of captains and generals and officers higher ranking than me, let me sit and listen. Let me learn. Let me ask them how they do this, how they do that. Let me go and question them about this precept. Or let me see how, you know what I mean? That's what you want to be focused on. Yep. All right. Did you have something, sis? Or slide? All right. Let's keep
verse 36.
And then and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. So those are the hard saying, the parables of understanding. The stories that we tell to make. They have another precept called the dark sayings. Like certain things are milk, easy to understand. Don't let the parables, the things that may be hard to understand, escape thee. Try to really figure out what these things mean.
Verse 36. And if thou seest the man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door.
Right. So this is another important one. And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him. Betimes means early. Get there quickly. You want to be there early, not like in a time like Esau, meaning like you don't want to hesitate to get to learn something. Right. And then there's another, this is a very famous one West precept. And let thy foot wear the steps of his door. We say wear down the doorsteps of a prophet. If somebody is over you or you have somebody you can go to learn precepts, you shouldn't be like, I don't want to bother him right now. I'll just call him tomorrow. Nah, call me right now. It doesn't matter. If I'm able to answer the phone, this is what I was told when I came in the truth. You call me anytime. If you need help, counsel, advice. If it's 3 a.m, I get the call. I'm able to answer the phone. I'm gonna answer the phone. You know, if you call me, if Mawar Khan give me a call, like sir, break down Luke 6:45. All right, 6:32. Break it down. Hang up the phone. 2 minutes later, you like, sir, what's Revelations? Do that. You hang up the phone, you call back 10 minutes later. You wearing down the door of a prophet. You wearing down the doorstep of the wise men. And that's their job to do that. And a priest is not going to be like, here you go again. This is another breakdown. A priest is going to be like, nigga, this is what I love to do. This is what I want to talk about. Because I'm over here in my slavery talking about nothing. I'm over here in this bar talking about the Warriors when what makes me happy is breaking down this Bible. So you're not bothering me. And if it's bothering that person, that's a demon on them. You know what I mean? So you should never even think about that. You're supposed to wear down the doorsteps of the prophets and get that information, get those knowledge, call their phone, text their phone. They don't pick up, you call the person over them, and then you let them know they ain't calling me back. I keep calling for these breakdowns. You know what I mean? This is what I need. I need to know. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Also, like sir, I was just gonna make a comment. So it's the priest's job to have godly discourse.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a wise man. How do you get there is from learning from wise men and wearing down their doorsteps and wearing, you know what I'm saying? That's how it gets passed down. That's how we got here. Is because the ones that wanted to learn, they wore down the doorsteps of the prophets before them. So get there early, man. Be on it. Yep. Verse 37.
Verse 37.
Mm-hmm.
Let thy
and
mind.
If I may, going back, like now you got to think before cell phones too. So it's like when it says, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door, like you knocking at somebody's door, you had to walk over there and go ask him. And then you leave and you come back. It's like Urkel, you know what I mean? If y'all know Urkel, like this nigga at my house again or in the other show, they like, Go home, Roger. Like, you want to be like that for the knowledge of the Lord and the truth. You know what I mean? But you're not gonna get kicked out or get thrown out. It's like, well, Most High Christ, this brother back. He coming up strong. He always got a question. He always got something he wants to learn about. You know what I mean? And that makes the men above you stronger too, because they may not know something, so they got to go wear down the doorsteps of the men above them. And if they don't know, they got to go to the men above them. So it makes everybody stronger. You know what I'm saying? With a question, you may even have a question. Like certain times it happens, people ask Jeremiah. Rarely, every now and then, he be like, you know what? I gotta go check on this one. You know what I'm saying? He probably already learned it before, but can't quite remember it. He's like, okay, it sounds familiar. Let me see. Let me double check. You know what I mean? So that's sharpened him up even more. So now next week, somebody got the same question. Oh yeah, boom. Yep, I remember it. One got a breakdown, and I remember it from 10 years ago. And it was a saying that I didn't understand until I got older, even really till I got into the truth. Where old folks used to say, man, I done forgot more than you ever learned. You ever heard that one before?
My grandma.
Yeah, that's a heavy one, because in the truth, it'll be a precept I haven't heard in like 3 years. And it's like, damn, I do know that precept. And somebody new coming in might just have learned it. I done already forgot it and then had to relearn it because I didn't learn so many different precepts since then. You know what I mean? And so that's a heavy statement. Like, that's like General Hyman. Like, he didn't forgot more precepts than we ever even learned, because he's heard and learned and knows so many different breakdowns.
Right.
Yeah.
Verse 37.
Mm-hmm.
Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord.
Right.
And meditate continually in his commandments.
Mm-hmm.
He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thy own desire.
Right. This is what it's all about. Is gaining wisdom, becoming wise, and these laws, statutes, and commandments. These are the things that make us better. And so to this morning, let's say shalom to this brother. Shalom to Trevon Sparks. Yahweh Shem Shah brother Thug. Oh, it's Trooper. He's actually a Trooper Kamash. Most High in Christ. I think I see that brother online. I think that brother just got home, man. Welcome home, Mike. But basically, the wisdom of the law, statutes, and commandments. Talking to a brother we went out to give food away with in Oakland that we met. Brother, I think he played in NFL and CFL and all these type of things, and he got a zeal to want to help our people, and that's a glorious thing to see. In any way that we can assist this brother, and he can help us, and we can come together and collaborate to help the people. That's a glorious thing to do. That's what we always are aspiring to do in the truth, is to help our people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we at ISUBK, we're the only home of the truth. We're one body, but that doesn't mean we won't work with someone to do something right. Captain Cesario years ago had a lecture with some dude named Irritated Genie. You look up this dude, he African voodoo, I don't know what the hell this nigga be, Egyptology. He one of them people, but the lecture was about stopping the molestation of children. Captain Zara willing to do a lecture with him to teach the people to talk about something that's wrong in our community. That doesn't mean he joined in and became, you know what I'm saying, a group with him, but it was to help our people. So we never want to be closed-minded in working with brothers that's in the world. But long story short, the brother, you know, he got a lot of ideas, and they are definitely good things. But at the end of the day, our perspective from the truth, and us being the men that know the law, statutes, and commandments, we're not trying to figure out the solution to the problems. We know, okay, homelessness, we're going to help the homeless, but that's not the solution to the problem. We may go and, you know, give out backpacks to these children, but is that going to fix the problem? You understand what I'm saying? Like all of these different groups, the Black Panthers, all the way down to nowadays, people give out turkeys every year. People trying to make job programs. People trying to do all these. It's been millions and billions of dollars that have been used to try to help Black people, but who is actually trying to fix Black people? And the knowledge and the wisdom to do that comes from the law, statutes, and commandments. And so give me that one. I'm gonna start calling out precepts and seeing and bringing back the old thing, man. That's what Jim Muhammad used to do. That's how it came up. What's that precept I'm looking for? To show that the laws are wise.
The laws are wise.
I want to give it all the way to you to prove.
Lock-in, would it be the study thyself approved?
Lie. It's don't want to say it on, but
is it Matthew 5:17?
Ooh, lie. Nope. I'll give you one more shot.
Sure.
This
Is it when Christ said, "I'm not come to do away with the law, but to fulfill"?
Old Testament.
Old Testament.
So what? I'm gonna slow down one more time. So he said, this is where it says, meditate. Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate, continue on his commandments. He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desire. The law, statutes, and commandments give us wisdom. That's as much as I'm gonna.
Sir.
No sweat. Deuteronomy 4 and 6.
Come.
Let's get that one. Jim Muhammad used to be like, precept. Yeah.
Bring it back, sir?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them.
Right.
For this is your wisdom.
Go to verse 5.
Come, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments.
Right.
Even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it.
Right. The Lord gave us these laws, statutes, and commandments to do these things when we go into the land that we're going to possess. These statutes and these judgments and these commandments. These ordinances is what we need to do when we go to have our own land, our own nation. Keep going.
Verse 6. Keep therefore and do them.
Right.
For this is your wisdom.
For this is your what?
Your wisdom.
For this is your what?
Your wisdom.
Keep going.
And your understanding.
Right.
In the sight of the nation.
This is what makes us wise. Deuteronomy 7 and 6, it says, we will be above all nations on earth by following the laws, statutes, and commandments. This is what puts us up above. This is what's going to make us wise in the sight of the nations. Keep going.
Which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
It says possibly.
Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Right. So these laws make us wise. These laws make us have understanding. And so, like I said, every time you can hear this over and over and over again, and you may hear this same precept a year from now and understand it even more than you heard it 2 years before. You may hear it 10 years from now, and you be like, yeah, damn, so like this is a heavy precept. This is so much in it, and you learn from it, even though you've heard it 100 times, even though you heard it 1,000 times, because you start to see how much wisdom is in just this little bit. But go ahead, up.
I was having a conversation with my rib earlier, or not a conversation, but I had a conversation earlier with someone else, and it kind of mixed in with something she said earlier.
Right.
How we were just talking about I was talking about earlier, how in the Black and Latino community it's messy, and then later on she was telling me about the situation between two celebrities, and she called it messy at the same time, right? So it's between our nation, it's like we're a messy nation in the world,
right?
So what is it that makes us? Because compared to another nation, they still look at us as messy, so to say. So why is it that when we follow other nations, we go so much further past what it is they're doing? like in the terms of like degradation and acting messy?
Because I'm trying to think of a precept right now too. Because
We're Slovakia, we're
Okay.
a lot messier than the other nations, even though we're following the other nations.
Because okay, it's Deuteronomy 28 and 15. You start go to there. Because we are made to be the best. I think it might come to me. There's a precept for this. We are made to be the best. So we're going to be the best at being the worst. Like we're going to be so good at being bad because we're supposed to be the best. I need to find this piece. It's gonna hit me as we talking about it. Just give me a second. Like, I want to explain this a little bit more. Like, we take stuff seriously, even our ignorance. Like, we really stand, like how people say, standing on business. Like, if you believe in this, you start to believe in it. And it's like believing a lie. We're good at living a lie. We convince ourselves more than they do. And back to what we were talking about before, where they do those things for their people. We're not doing it for our nation. And so we're just like crab in a barrel. So it's like we can't even be destructive positively because we're not racist. Their destruction is based on oppressing other people when they do evil. When the Chinese sell heroin, they sell heroin to black people. When black people sell heroin, we sell it to black people. Like when Israelites sell meth, they sell it to Israelites. They destroy their own nation trying to come up versus another nation of people. They use their destructive behavior to destroy other people. Go ahead.
That was an amazing answer. I was just gonna say so pretty much it's just like we're just gonna glorify whatever the world gives value.
Right. And because it's not for us, so the Lord has to destroy us. We'll read that precept. Deuteronomy 28:15. Yeah. 28:15. It's not for us. It was a future lyric. I think one of the songs. He just was like, that ain't for you. That's for them other bras. That ain't for you, dog. That's for them other niggas. Like, maybe he's talking about using drugs, or whatever. Like, this ain't for you. This is not made for you. If you get into this, this is going to really destroy you. And that's kind of what happens with us. We have to receive these harsh punishments because the Lord wants to put us on top.
Right.
Because we like his children. You know what I mean? Yeah, go ahead.
So Deuteronomy 28:15?
Yep. No sweat.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I commanded thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. So this is just a curse. In order for the Lord to bless us, a couple verses up, it talks about we will be the head and not the tail. We're going to be in front and the leaders of the world following the law, statutes, and commandments. So going against it is no other choice than to put us at the bottom of the world. It can't be like in between, a light punishment for you, like how they do in their system. So in the oppressor's way, if you're a rich man, if you're an important man, if you're a president, or if you're a king, leader, rich man, same thing, right? If you do something wrong, the court system shows you favor and you get a light sentence. You get to go to a light prison. If so, you get a fine. You know what I mean? If you're at the bottom of society, what happens? You get
So it's like you get slavery, you get your life taken.
you get the harshest punishment from the judge.
Get your life taken.
Right. A righteous judge, it would be the other way around. You understand? If you are the person that's in charge and you have all this knowledge and you're doing something evil, then you should get the harshest and strictest punishment. And the person that's at the bottom should get the lightest punishment. So us having the position of leadership, the Lord got to deal with us hardest first. Because He like, you supposed to be the kings of the earth. There's no, you get a light sentence because you just was selling a little dope. Nah, you the president. You can't sell a little dope. But this person in the ghetto that has nothing, okay, you sell a little dope. I understand why. You still gonna get punished, but you have a reason because you're suffering. This person had no reason to do all this. You know what I mean? So, in essence, us being the Lord's chosen people, we have to get the punishment first to steer us in the right direction. What's your question?
Also, I'm going to say that would be reflective of the parable with the king and his servant. The servant who wasn't able to pay the debt, but then went back to someone who owed him a debt and put him in jail.
Let me see. You're talking about this what Christ said. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. He said basically, what was the story again?
So like it was when the servant came to the king with the debt, and the king forgave his debt. The servant went to someone who owed him a debt.
Oh, yeah.
In jail.
Right. He didn't have any mercy on the person that owed him a couple dollars. Yeah. Harsher punishment. Yeah, because he didn't want to show mercy. Yeah, that precept is heavy. And you're saying that can apply to us. It's not quite the same thing. I wouldn't say that as far as us getting punished by the Lord because we want to go and do it. It's not quite the same type of where I'm going with it. I'm just saying more the Israelites are at the bottom, like you were asking initially, with the heathens, because the Lord doesn't want to, He can let them prosper being evil. They're going to have their time anyway. But in order to get us right, we have to go through this first. So the whole world looks at us like, damn, y'all messy. Like you said, y'all at the bottom, y'all are the worst of the worst. It is true, but we're cursed the most because our destiny is to be the greatest. So there's no, there's no middle ground for the Lord dealing with us. You either in or you out. You know what I mean? Yep. Let's see. We going. Oh yeah. So we were at Deuteronomy 6 and 4. 4 and 6. So like go back to that real quick. I'm gonna explain. Oh yeah. Now we good.
That's like if you want to go to 7 or start at 6.
No, let's see. Surely this right now. So we did finish right there. So basically, now going back to the point that I was driving home as far as you hearing something over and over again and getting this understanding, and at certain times where I'll get to the point where it'll be like a epiphany, as they say. And so learning, we say the law, statutes, and commandments so much, knowing why is it so important, it just hit me that this is the most simple information to be given to someone and really the most complex piece of information to be given. And I always say it's so simple, it's complex, and it's so complex, it's simple. Meaning, it's like to understand how many different things this law being perfect can fix is a complex concept to say. So you sit down with this brother, he like homelessness is a problem in Oakland. He's like drug addiction is a problem in Oakland. He's like domestic violence, rape, prostitution. The list goes on. HIV, syphilis, chlamydia, Any problem you can list. Name some problems we got in the Black and Latino community. All right, what's another? Robbery. Name another one.
Abuse.
There we go. You can name another one. Drug addiction. Drug dealing.
I think just like being messed up is one of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, for example, like black on black crimes.
There you go. Fighting, violence. I mean, keep going. I mean, it's a bipping, stealing, robbery. It's the same, just different version of that. Just think about Oakland, homelessness.
Shooting.
What else? We say
Shooting.
child abandonment, child endangerment. It's just like you just go down a list of laws of America that are broken, and just any issue. We got thousands of them. So now you're a mayor of a city. They keep replacing the mayors. They keep replacing the sheriff of Oakland. They keep trying to kick this DA out. They keep trying to employ this DA. They want to defund the police. They want to refund the police. They want to investigate this. They want to stop the sideshow over here. They want to, you know what I'm saying, put bumps in the middle of the road. They want to do this, do that. They trying to figure out these problems and fix them. It's very complex. Like, you have to be a freaking genius. Like Barack Obama, niggas look at him. This nigga went to Harvard or Yale or wherever he went to law school. Highly intelligent, can't fix the problem. Sociologists, psychologists, counselors, everybody is sitting here like, what do we do? How do we fix this problem? It's very complex when you really think about it. But this Bible is telling you, all you gotta do is follow the laws and the commandments. We'll fix all that. That shit sounds so simple. It go over everyone's head. You too smart to understand how simple that is. Is these laws right here can fix every issue we just listed. Homelessness will be over if we follow the law, statutes, and commandments as a nation. You're gonna love your brother as yourself. There's no room for being homeless. Well, you're like, damn, why would I let this homeless person in my house? They might do what? Kill me, rape me, rob me, use drugs in my bathroom. Well, if he follows that law, then he ain't gonna kill you, he ain't gonna rape you, he ain't gonna rob you. He ain't gonna do drugs in your bathroom because he's following the law. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nobody's gonna bip your car. You can leave your window down. Nobody is going to catch syphilis and AIDS because people ain't being homosexuals. People aren't over here sleeping with other men's wives. That ends all of that. Ain't no diseases passed around. So when you read Deuteronomy 4 and 6, read it again in that context. Like, where did COVID come from? Eating bats. Where did HIV come from? Eating monkeys. Look that up. Monkeys had a disease that's similar to AIDS, but it was in their own species, like dogs. People call it parvo or something. They call it dog HIV. But we don't get parvo. You can have a dog sitting here. You're not going to catch parvo from him. But if you eat a dog that has parvo, you probably might get parvo. It might jump species, and now I give it to you. That's what happened with AIDS. The Africans was over there eating these chimpanzees and these monkeys and got this disease, and now they spread it around the world. So we wouldn't have AIDS in our community. We wouldn't have COVID. We wouldn't have the swine flu, which comes from eating pig, because of Deuteronomy 4 and 6. Go back to that one.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom.
This is the solution to homelessness. One more time.
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom.
This is the solution to prostitution. For this is a wisdom. Start from right there.
For this is your wisdom.
This is the solution to gangbanging.
For this is your wisdom.
This is the solution to AIDS.
For this is your wisdom.
This is the solution to mass incarceration.
For this is your wisdom.
To being a stripper.
For this is your wisdom.
OnlyFans.
For this is your wisdom.
For crack deal. I mean, the list. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is it. It's not that hard to understand. But for some reason, you need to have a city council and 2,000 people sit and talk for 5 hours and leave and nothing changed, because they don't want to understand that the wisdom of the Lord solves all of that. These laws are perfect to solve all of that. And you know who understands it though?
Slugging.
Good.
Priest prophets.
That too. But I'm talking about outside of it.
Oh, Salaki.
Who understands how important these laws are?
The victims.
Mm-mm. Who is using these laws?
Oh,
I'll say that in a way.
Salaki, the
And then
church.
almost even more so Jewish people.
Khan.
Jewish people have enriched themselves and put themselves above all nations using these laws, and they're not really even completely using them, because they most likely eat pork. They most likely, or not most likely, we know they commit adultery, they're doing all these other evil things, but they use the laws enough to separate themselves from these other nations and to gain the benefits of them. Like them faking following our laws put them on top. So imagine us as a nation actually following these laws. And we niggas. And we, you know what I'm saying? We Latinos, like, we are the flavor of the earth. We're the ones that the Jewish people took advantage of Michael Jackson. But we are Michael Jackson. The Jewish people took advantage of Kanye West, but we are Kanye West. So that means basically, not only are we going to be rich as a community and we're going to be above everyone else, we have the best people to be put ourselves at the top. They don't even have us. They have to use us a part of their equation to make themselves number one. That makes sense? Am I explaining that? Is that you understand? Maybe I'll slow it down a little bit. Like, they need black people to enrich themselves. If we have followed the laws, we already going to be rich, but we're going to be even more richer than them because it's in-house. You know what I mean? We already have everything. We don't need them to be popular. They need us. Go ahead.
It's like, kind of make or ask, or not make the ask the question, but so within that, right? You can only. Will it be similar in the kingdom in that way for us? And how, like Slakia, like I know they are going to go into captivity, so
right.
For you to be above someone, there has to be someone under you.
Right.
But is it going to be
like, are they going to be our comedians? Basically, are they going to be the basketball players, entertainment? In a lot of ways, they will be like maybe entertainment. If we want to laugh or joke or whatever. I don't see. Okay, the reason why entertainment is so important to us is because we're slaves. So a basketball player is cool, LeBron is cool, Michael Jordan is cool, but the reason why they're so important to us is because we're poor. It's not because watching basketball is really that entertaining. Hold on. Meaning, you can go to any neighborhood and watch some niggas play basketball. They gave him $40 million a year. That's why he's that entertaining. Like, he's not worth $40 million of entertainment.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Any like grown person, when COVID hit, nobody cared about going to watch LeBron James. Nobody cared about going to a football game if your life and death is on the line. But you do care what the CDC is saying. You care what your engineers are saying. You care what your doctors. Those jobs are important. So like we live like children. That's one of the precepts I'm a go to. We learn that from our oppressor because it's literally a game. It's what kids play with a ball and they throw it around. But he doesn't want us to compete with him being engineers and doctors. So he made up a game for us to play. So that's the way we only think how to get out of the hood. He's not going to pay some black doctor $40 million and make it look cool. So a whole bunch of black kids want to become doctors and compete with your oppressor. He's going to make a game where only 400 people can win and this become in the NBA. It's 40 million black people. Half of their sons want to get a job that's hiring 400 people. I lived in Ruston, Louisiana. I'm sure both of you probably never even heard of that town. Ruston, Louisiana has 10,000 people that live there. There was a job there that I worked at called the Louisiana Methodist Children's Home. They don't have the juvenile hall system in Louisiana. So they have a church that the state works with where if you act up in high school, you're going to go live at this children's home for a couple months instead of going to juvenile hall. And 400 people worked at this facility in Louisiana, in a city y'all never heard of, and they were fooled on their jobs. They're like, man, if you get a job up there, you're doing good. Everybody trying to get a job up there. It's fool. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is to show you how insignificant 400 jobs is. It doesn't mean anything. Now, talk about the NBA. Every child in America wants to get a job at the Ruston Children's Methodist Home. That's how insane it is. And not only every kid in America, kids in France and now in Germany, and then you have your son and people are like, oh, don't kill his dream because he's going to go hoop. No, he's not going to make it. I'm telling you straight up, you're not going to make it. That ain't no dream killer. That's common sense. That's logical. None of them teach their kids, oh, you're going to be a baller one day. You're going to be, that's the first thing we want to teach our children. Or you're going to be a rapper. Or you're going to be an entertainer. And that's even worse. I can't name 400 rappers that have a hit record out right now. You can feel them in this room. You understand? And now every kid in the ghetto wants that job. But you know how many computer science jobs are there in America? Google that. You understand what I'm saying? That's the reason why they did that, though. And that's, I know it's a long way of explaining. Let me see how many. See whoever gets it first. Computer.
I want to say like 2,000.
Let's see. Computer science jobs are there. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. I got a number. What you got?
I said there are approximately 1,084,000 job openings in the U.S. tech field, computer science.
Good night. I got 461,000 jobs for computer science information. And the data is projected to increase by 11% by 2028. Now, how much does your average computer science major make? Or computer science, computer sance person make a year? Let me see.
So, mine says it's 101,000 average.
You see how easy it is to get that job? If you put all your energy instead of going to basketball and dribbling all day and trying to beat freaking LeBron James, you actually make $110,000 a year. You may not make $40 million, but guess what? That little kid that thinks he's going to be LeBron, he ain't going to make nothing. He's going to work at Popeyes because he's been having a dream to be LeBron and make $40 million, which is never going to happen. But I'm the bad guy for telling them it's never going to happen because I'm trying to tell them, hey, little nigga, you can make $200,000 a year being a computer science major, and they're not hiring 400 people a year. They're hiring 400,000 people, and you're going to make that job. That's what the East Indians tell their children. That's what white people tell their children. That's what Asians tell their children. And that's why they pay black people this much money, because they don't want you to compete with them. So the value of LeBron is not $40 million worth of value. He's worth $40 million to them because they'd have to give us $2 billion in our community if we all tried to be computer science majors. So they rather save the $2 billion, or really the $100 billion is probably way more than that. That goes to that. You times 104,000 by 1 million people, and whatever number that is, that's probably like I don't even know what that number is. My phone ain't even gonna do it. 100,000 times a million. Because you said it's 1 million jobs, and they all making 100,000. a million times, 100,000 a million times. I can't even. Maybe I'll ask the computer. Just Google. How much?
$1 trillion.
Is that? That's what it sounds like to me.
$1 trillion.
That's what I thought. I'm gonna double check. Let me see. 100,000. Salaki. 100K times 1 million. Let's see what it comes out to be. It just says it does one of those weird 1.3.
To the power.
Yeah, that's a trillion.
Uh,
$1 trillion industry that we not getting nothing out of because we think being a rapper is the way out of the hood. We think being a actor is the way out of the hood when that's even worse. Like, you think I'm making this up, man. How many players are in the NBA? Look at how many players in the NBA. List of current, how many players in the NBA? How many athletes are in the NBA? Oh, it's a little bit better, 580. Ooh-wee. And then half of them don't even play more than 5 years because you get hurt and somebody else comes right behind you. So you trying to focus on getting this small job opening that you probably will only work for 3 years at max. And you think that's a logical way. And all of the parents try to raise their kids this way. And you wonder why niggas end up becoming drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? And girls want to become prostitutes and have OnlyFans because our community is. And I know that was I went on a long tangent, but I really be trying to drive that home because they really make these jobs. I know it went all the way back to, I'm like, how did we get here? From you saying like in the kingdom, are the Edomites going to be playing basketball for us? Probably. Because who cares? Like, or why would we spend all day watching somebody dribble a ball around? Like, are you a child? My kid can play basketball. Like, I'll go watch him. Like, who does that? We put so much emphasis on basketball and football in this society because we're childish. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's a childish way. Like, watching somebody sit on stage and just like, that's cool, but that's not really adult-like. It's childlike behavior. So give me Isaiah the precept for that. And the oppressor loves us to make our lies about childish things because they're worried about adult things. They're worried about quantum physics and quantum mechanics and computers and trying to get to Mars. And we worrying about Cardi B again. That's all I can say. I'm trying to find out too now. I'm just joking. You know what I mean? I'm childish too, but I gotta kill that off.
That's all I can say.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say so. Like, through wisdom, you have to be willing to have godly discourse, not discourse about basketball.
And then, like I said, I like the words like the next man. Don't get it all twisted. But it's just in the kingdom, it will be for the slaves. Not because they're the best at it, but because it damn near really doesn't even matter at that point. Like, who's the best comedian? We're the best comedians because we're oppressed. We're the best basketball players because we're oppressed. We're the best boxers because we're oppressed. Like, Africans are starting to come up in the boxing room. They say boxing was always for the lowest people of society because it's such a dangerous and violent job. You're literally going in here and risking your life to die. The only people that would do that are people that are poor. So initially, when we came out of slavery, Black people became the best boxers because they figured that was the only way out. But then when football came on and basketball came on, they said, why would I go in here and risk dying when I can go to NFL and make the same amount of money? So a lot of those football players would have been boxers. And so now it went to the Latino community because they are coming up and they're like, okay, how can I make it out? They're willing to try to kill themselves. Well, now people have come up. Oscar De La Hoya got a big $1 billion, you know what I'm saying, fighting promotion thing. Now they're going to Africa. They're like, who can we find that's dumb enough to try to kill themselves for a couple dollars? And they're going to use the Africans. So that's why I like that last fight, Tyson Fury versus that African. And I put on you on Facebook, I'm like, it finally felt good to be entertained and not the entertainment. Like to watch two heathens try to kill themselves. I don't give a damn who wins or loses, but I'm glad I don't see a black man and a Hispanic man fighting each other and everybody cheering it on while they beat their brains out. That's really sad when we watch these boxing matches. You know what I mean? And I'd rather watch them do it for pennies than to, you know what I mean, watch my brothers do it. So long story short, they will become the entertainment because it's entertainment is really not that important. Entertainment is for slaves. It's to distract people from important things. Like, yeah, so like, but Isaiah 3 and verse 12. And that was my other precept. Mm-hmm.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
As for my people,
Right.
Children are their oppressors, and women rule over them.
Right.
O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy path.
Right. For my people, children are their oppressors. Meaning the people that rule over us, they're like children. They're immature. Well, the only reason why they're over us is not because they're better, is because we are not focused on what's right, and the Lord has cursed us, and they're more evil and willing to do what they want to do to get power. But meaning like their childlike, go to Job 30:1. They're like somebody, like a child. You got your little kid, what they always do, trying to do, pick up something, put it in their mouth. How do Edomites act? It's a cockroach. I'll try it out. They'll go eat anything. They'll eat something raw. They'll eat whatever. Octopus. They don't care what animal it is. They want to try the squirrel, the rabbit. They want to eat anything. He's like, stop putting that in your mouth. Like, stop it. You know what I mean? Like their child, like they bungee jump. They jump out of planes for fun. They just do stupid stuff like Jackass, like TV show Steve-O. Like they're immature race of people. But we look at them as being superior because we exactly, yeah, that's right. That's right. It's money. You know what I mean? And because they have more money, they're at least wise enough to oppress us. But outside of that, the really people that are over us are childlike. If we got our mind right, we would see how childlike they are. And that's why they influence us to like childlike. We're following them being childlike. We make our whole lives around the Kardashians. It's childlike. We make our whole lives around girls living in the house and fighting each other. Like it's childlike behavior.
So
you know what I mean? Go ahead.
That also imply being childlike and being selfish.
Yeah, children are very selfish. Get out of here. You had that to my breakdown. Yep, and I've heard the general say that too, and that's what I heard in that breakdown. Like the oppressor is extremely selfish, like a little child. You give them something, they don't want to share it. They don't want to give it to anyone else. They crying and fighting. They said Zion and David's son was fighting one of the high holy days over a little Hot Wheel toy. That's how the oppressor is. You know how much land it is all over America? How many cars? You've been by a car dealership? It's thousands of cars sitting here on a lot. Are they going to give you one? Hell no. You're going to have to go sell dope to get one of these. Kill somebody to get one of these, something. You ain't getting one of these just because I shared. You ain't getting food because I got it. We'll throw away the food. Y'all heard about that before. Restaurants throw food away, not to give it to the homeless, because what they say they're gonna get a lawsuit. You really believe that? It's because if they give away free food, then why buy food? Everybody can stand there and be like, all right, I'm just gonna wait till Pizza Hut closes and give me a free pizza. So they have to throw it away so that they can make their profit, so they can be selfish and be the only ones that have money. But everybody should be having money. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Sorry, sir. I was just gonna I was also going to ask on top of that when it says and women rule over you. Is that talking about literally what you're saying, or is it slacking from me?
No, you good. I didn't finish breaking it down. You're right. We jumped to the other one. Yeah, no.
Is it saying emotional, or is it literally women rule over us?
What do you mean? Like saying the oppressor is like a woman?
Is it saying that?
No, that one's actually talking about like women that rule over us too. Like our households are upside down. The black family, single parent black mother rules the household. That's the thing as well. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So they kind of turn into a matriarchy.
Yeah.
Matriarch, not the
Right. Because we are underneath these children that are oppressing us, then the women become the one that's leading over us when that's not how. The Lord said the sheep of my flock are the men. The leaders of the nation is supposed to be the men. And a weak nation is going to have women leading them. And that's exactly what they want us to do. And they're the same way. They make it seem like they're all in order when really, you know what I'm saying, the oppressor is weak behind women. And they really put in a way, but Salaki, let's go to this one for time's sake. They put women up above, though. They put them on a pedestal too. That's their whole getting on the knee and all this, and for weddings, and it's just that's their culture of Esau, is to let the woman dominate in some way, shape, or form. They put a show on the front that they want to be the dominant figure for the world, but in reality, a lot of times the woman is the one that's running this thing too. Yep.
Also, like, this just reminded me of in that movie 300, Leonidas the King, but
right.
His wife was really the one
exactly
telling him how to run everything.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a TV show called Billions. I watch on Showtime. I know your pops said he told me about it before I started watching it. But the guy, he's a district attorney. He's like a famous lawyer, runs the city. But in his private life, his wife is like a dominatrix over him. And not to be too explicit with class, but like, you know, in the scenes in the movie, like he is a bitch and she is the one, you know what I'm saying? But that's so Edomite. That's really how a lot of these dudes that are around the world are. You know what I mean? They getting, I ain't gonna be explicit, but yeah, they are the bitch. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. Exactly. But Job chapter 30, verse 1.
This is the book of Job, chapter 30, verse 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision. Right.
They have me in derision. The ones that are younger, these are the Edomites. These are the people that are the children to us, as you know, like I said, childlike. This is what you can use this one for. They have me, they're making fun of us. That's what derision means. Contemptuous, ridicule, mockery, sneering. They're laughing at us, they scoffing at us. The children that are younger than me, they're laughing at me now. Keep going.
Whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
Right. Like I wouldn't even allow their fathers to watch my dogs at one point in time. But now they have grown up and they laughing at me. And so that's another way, basically, it's showing like these are the type of people you wouldn't even trust your dog with, but they're the senators and the governors and the top 5 CEOs. You see all these movies and Wall Street and all that. What they really do in the movie Wolf of Wall Street, y'all ever saw that one? They a bunch of children up in there. They throwing midgets down the aisle and snorting coke and partying and flying it. But you look at the building outside, you're like, man, damn, I wish I could get up in there and I get me a job. And they're the smartest people and they really a bunch of children. Like, I wouldn't leave my dog. You might end up doing something to my dog. You know what I mean? You gonna molest my dog. I wouldn't leave him around you How are y'all running the world? It don't make no sense. And you wonder why America's $150 trillion in debt. Some crazy number. Because the people running the world are freaking children. And they're putting this image, and we like, damn, they so wise and smart because they built this nation and blah, 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 blah. But behind closed doors, you really see through this, and you be like, man, these are some children. All they want to do is get high. All they want to do is eat whatever, have sex, and act like a bunch of kids in American Pie. And he just gave them power. And, you know what I mean? Read it one more time. So lock in.
It's the book of Job, chapter 30, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
But now they that are younger than I
Right.
have me in derision,
Right.
whose fathers I would have disdained
Right.
to have set with the dogs of my flock.
Yeah, that's not cool. We got to get back in our rightful position. As the General Muhammad's been saying it a lot in class lately. He like, just give us a shot. Let blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans rule the world, and then they'll stop killing Israeli soldiers that have, Israeli hostages. You know what I mean? Then they'll stop doing things like this. But for time's sake, let's keep going. We got about 15 more minutes, 10 more minutes before we hit 9 o'clock. So let me get a couple of precepts. I'm gonna say hold good questions. Hold them just for a minute so we can get through some of these precepts so people can get them in their precept book. Let's go to Proverbs 3 and 5. Overall, this topic of wisdom and what comes from the Bible. This is like I said, it's so simple, it goes over everybody's head. And it's so complex that it really is simple. That it's like, wow, it covers everything. And that's what makes us the smartest men on earth. Like, I genuinely mean that. When you may meet brothers that come to school, brother may not have his GED, brother may not, you know what I'm saying, be the best reader or be the best whatever. That nigga is a genius. He figured this out. The brother is a walking genius, man. Y'all got to appreciate the presence of the men from the lowest rank to the highest rank. You know what I'm saying? Y'all witnessing Black and Latino excellence because this is something that the wisest men in Israel can't figure out. Apparently, Jay-Z got $1 billion. He didn't figure this out. Or he just doesn't care, which makes him really evil, and that's why the Lord won't deal with him. So there's no other way. Either they figured this out, and that's where Kanye West is at. They're like, he borderline coming out, peeking out, but then his demons, he ain't really able to understand. But he's starting to look over the thing like, damn, this is the Jewish people. This is what they doing. He is like, they don't pump this in our community, and they got rich and rule the world with this Bible saying the Israelites. And he almost got close to Captain Zaryak. Something happened, they cut him off. Like, you start figuring this out, get rid of that white woman and follow these laws. Kanye West could help, build this truth up to be something ridiculous. You imagine our garments, nigga, we was talking about that. If Kanye West came into the truth, nigga, the garments we would have, this nigga, we'd be flying. I always think about that too, like with like a Tupac. Tupac coming into the truth. Like, our nation's supposed to be so cold-blooded. Like, Jay-Z, nigga's a hell of a businessman. Imagine if he was in the truth. You know what I mean? Like, our greatest people, their talents that the Lord gave them are used to enrich themselves and the oppressor. But it really was supposed to be our nation. So once again, saying we really are the best nation. You giving cats nothing the way that I could go on and on. But basically, either they are really smart but not smart enough to understand this, or they really do understand this and they're really evil and they just don't give a damn about their people and won't do the right thing. But it is so simple. Like, tomorrow, if Jay-Z came into the Israelite School of UPK and was a trooper, tomorrow it'd be so many people at the door. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many rappers, it'd be 15, 20 rappers to join. And then after that, every cat will be at the door listening to what we're talking about. Good.
Slug it, sir. Does the
Snoop Dogg made one post talking about he's smoking weed, and 15,000 people probably would have quit overnight. And it shows you how important these people are to influence the bad behavior. If he made one post and everybody wanted to stop smoking, so every time he roll a blunt and smoke on live, how many people is he getting to smoke? But they always tell you this bull. And I really want to use, man. They tell you this bullshit that I'm not a role model. I hate when they say that because it's BS. Like you sitting here and telling these kids you're not a role model. I'm not a role model. I'm just a rapper. Nah, these kids gonna do exactly what they see you do. If you say you popping Molly, popping Percocets, Future, they're gonna do that. If you say you're gonna be reading and educating yourself, they're gonna follow you doing that too, man. So they have so much influence, and yeah, it would take one of them cats to come up in here, and tomorrow half of the Black people will come in and do this, and then how much greater would our nation be? You know what I mean? Wouldn't have none of these problems. But he gonna tell you some backdoor way, like, okay, I'm just gonna figure out how to give out more backpacks, and it's just gonna solve the problem. Not it. Go ahead, Oxalak.
Okay. What's like in verse?
Proverbs 3:5. Yep.
Like 3:5.
Yep.
Come.
Famous
Book
preacher.
of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5.
Right.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart,
Right.
and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Famous precept. We all probably heard it before. I'm not gonna go too long. I know I'll get caught up in these breakdowns, but yeah, just lean not to your own understanding. That's what we all have to do, and that's what the world wants you to do, is to be individual, spiritual. That's another big thing. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And people want to be spiritual because you don't have to listen to anybody. The only person you can listen to is yourself. And that's the easy way out. If your mind says it's okay to smoke weed, I'm spiritual. I smoke weed. It's cool. My God. Who is your God? I kind of gave it away, but when you're spiritual, who's your God?
You.
Exactly. Whatever you say, whatever goes. So that's what everybody's doing now. They're doing you. I'm gonna do me. They're listening to their own God, which is themselves, and they're making up their own rules, and it's not doing nothing for us because we all lean, so I don't understand. Go ahead.
So I guess I was going to ask. That's essentially Satanism.
That's exactly what Satanism is. Their founding word is, or quote, is "Do as thou wilt." And Jay-Z wore a shirt wearing that one time. It came from one of their guys, I think Aleister Crowley or something. He's a big time Satanist. And they're in their book of Satan, that's their, and I could go to a whole other breakdown on that. That is so much in that statement.
Do as thou wilt.
Yeah, do as thou wilt. This shows you the opposite between us and Satanism. Blacks, Hispanics, natives, and the oppressor. Do as thou wilt is what they live by. Have you never heard that one before?
I think I have, sir.
Okay. So you're gonna tell us about how you were studying Satanism for a couple months? High school? Give us the breakdown, Doc. Salagi. That's Ohio. I almost caught you. I almost had you. Got you. So basically, yeah, it was a couple months. I was in the Gothic gang. Nah. Right, exactly. But nah, do as thou wilt. Basically, long story short, is there's no rules. Do whatever you want to do. And that is opposite. The Lord is like, no, do what I say to do. Them, do whatever you want to do. I say, stop doing this, stop doing that. Don't eat pork. Don't do this. Don't commit adultery. Don't kill people. Don't rob. There, do as thou wilt. Get it how you live. Do what you want to do. You want to kill, kill. You want to rob, rob. You want to steal, steal. You want to rape, rape. You want to get high, get high. You want to have sex. Do whatever you want to do. And it sounds like freedom. That's another thing they tell you in America. Hey, be free. That's very free. This is gonna make you a slave. You a slave. You follow that Bible. You a sheeple. It sounds good, do as thou will, be like Jay-Z, you're gonna come up. But in reality, if you do what you want, you're going to be a slave to the white man. And if you obey the Lord, you're actually gonna be free. See how evil these bastards are, man? They lie to us, tell us do whatever you want, be spiritual, and we end up slaves. And they think that we're crazy for going out and telling them you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't get tattoos, you can't do this, and we're trying to enslave you when really we're trying to free you by giving you these rules. It's a cold game, man. But it shows you that the Bible is real because they had to pick something opposite of us. So it just proves that this is true. Because and I did hear a line from Kanye West. I might have to do a class on this. I might be my topic next week. But I heard a line from Kanye West back in the days. He was going through his Illuminati phase. I don't know what he was on. He was on some weird stuff after his mom died. But one of the songs, the lyrics, he was like, you can do this, but you can learn a lot from Satan. I don't know if it's, that, yeah. Which one does it go?
Devil in a new dress.
Let me see what he said. Kanye, let me get the line. I'm not good with
No, I think that's on.
you can.
Oh yeah, it is.
A lot from the ballerinas and stuff.
Yeah.
Not all the lights, but damn, Kanye West. You can lyrics. Let me see if this comes out. But when I heard that line, I was like, oh hell no, I'm about to turn this dude off because I was tripping. He said, put your hands to the constellations. The way you look should be a sin. You, my sensation. I know I'm preaching to the congregation. We love Jesus, but you done learned a lot from Satan. But okay, yeah, that might be it. But I thought it was another lyric or something. But I thought he said you can learn a lot from Satan, something like that. But I think that might be the song. But I was just like, what is the goal of what the heck was he saying? But I did start to look into Satanism, not to follow it, y'all. But I wanted to learn what the hell they teach, you know what I mean, to understand. And it definitely taught me, like, this is what these evil people think. And it really shows you the Bible is the truth because everything they try to do counters our book, showing that it's true. So, like, if we care about the poor, they, like, don't care about the poor. You know what I mean? And I'll go into it, but it's one interview from the guy he started the Church of Satan in San Francisco. His name is Anton LaVey. His daughter is Zena LaVey, and her husband was some weird werewolf dude. These people look like real life demons. And the interview, it's a Christian pastor interviewing. Yeah, go ahead.
This is today now?
No, this is like in the 80s.
Okay.
So he started the Church of Satan in 1966 or 69. Damn near the same year the school started in San Francisco. And his kids grew up in the 80s after he died. His daughter, she kind of took over, was like trying to start running stuff. And they interviewed them asking about it. And in the interview, they go and break down their plans. And they're like, we're going to infiltrate the music industry. And we're going to start making music like this. And then your kids are going to follow that. And everything they explain, it lets you see the truth. Like, okay, that is what's going on. It's not a coincidence that they're making these type of music. And just one of the things that God was saying was to the effect of, why should I care about weaker people than me? Like, why should I go and help the poor or people that are less intelligent than me? Survival of the fittest. Basically, they should all die, or if somebody killed them, they're not wrong because they're not useful to the world. And so when I'm looking, I'm like, you got to read between the lines. Who are the poorest people? Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Who are the most useless people? In Satanism, basically, but on their ideology, we have to be the lowest people on earth that they should take advantage of and kill off. You know what I mean? And I'll find the little clips so we can go into that next week because it's 9 o'clock now. But the more you listen to them talk, the more you realize, like, damn, you can learn a lot like about this Bible because of the way they talk about it or what they believe. You're like, yeah, everything we've been saying is true because it's complete opposite of us. But Salak, I know we didn't get to all these precepts, but it's all good. I enjoy the conversation. Hopefully, y'all get tired of me talking so much. You know what I mean?
I thought you said, I thought you were going to say that we enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I did.
Most High in Christ, the water. Appreciate it. I know Commander Johanna, I'm gonna let y'all go. Give me a couple minutes. I know y'all tired of me doing this. I'll be like, sir, give me a couple hours. Keep going. I'll be talking. Yeah, right. I'll be like, slug it, sir. Keep going. Right. Well, I know we got slaves on the board. This ain't a video. You'll go back and watch it, or we can talk next week. I'll see y'all brothers again. I'm not Commander Johanna. So I'm humble myself and in this class. But yeah. All right. I'm just gonna give a salute. With that, Yahweh Shem Shah Rock a thumb to all the brothers, and Yahweh Shema Thumb Shem Shah to all the sisters.